grant to support the identification of advancement opportunities and career pathways in the direct care or home care sectors. And 4. Using evidence-based models and standards for achievement for the attainment of any associated recognized post-secondary credentials, which include AA, supporting opportunities to participate in pre-apprenticeship or registered apprenticeship programs, work-based learning, or on-the-job training. BB, providing on-the-job supervision or mentoring to support the development of related skills and competencies throughout completion of such credentials, and CC, training on the in-demand skills and competencies of direct care workers served by the grant, including the provision of culturally competent and disability competent supports and services. 2. Consultation. Each eligible entity receiving a grant under this section shall consult in the development and implementation of the grant with A. Individuals with disabilities, B. Older individuals, C. Direct care workers, D. Family caregivers, guardians, or family members, or E. Representatives of I. Organizations representing the rights and interests of people receiving home and community-based services. 2. Provider agencies or employers of direct care workers served by the grant. 3. Labor or joint labor management organizations, or advocacy organizations, representing direct care workers served by the grant. Or 4. Institutions of higher education or career and technical education schools providing education and training on direct care. D. Supplement and not supplant. An eligible entity receiving a grant under this section shall use such grant only to supplement, and not supplant, the amount of funds that, in the absence of such grant, would be available to the eligible entity to address the recruitment, education and training, retention, or career advancement of direct care workers in the state served by the grant. Part 5 Workforce Development Programs in Support of Communities and the Environment Sec. 22401. Corporation for National and Community Service. A. In general. 1. AmeriCorps State and National Programs. A. In general. In addition to amounts otherwise made available, there is appropriated for fiscal year 2023, out of any money in the Treasury not otherwise appropriated, to the Corporation for National and Community Service, $1,305,000,000, to remain available until September 30, 2027. For carrying out national service programs authorized under Section 122(a)(3)(b) of the National and Community Service Act of 1990, 42 U.S.C. 12572(a)(3)(b), which shall be used to make funding adjustments to existing, as of the date of enactment of this Act, awards and make new awards to entities to support national service programs authorized under the AmeriCorps State and National Program, whether or not the entities are already grant recipients under such provisions on the date of enactment of this Act, and to increase the living allowances of participants in national service programs. B. Waiver of matching requirement. For the purposes of carrying out this subparagraph, the corporation shall waive any match requirement in whole or in part where a grantee demonstrates such waiver would increase access and remove barriers for organizations that serve communities that are adversely affected by persistent poverty, discrimination, or inequality. 2. National Civilian Community Corps. In addition to amounts otherwise made available, there is appropriated for fiscal year 2023, out of any money in the Treasury not otherwise appropriated, to the Corporation for National and Community Service, $80 million, to remain available until September 30, 2027. For carrying out the National Civilian Community Corps authorized under Section 152 of the National and Community Service Act of 1990, 42 U.S.C. 12612. Three. Volunteers in Service to America Program. In addition to amounts otherwise made available, there is appropriated for fiscal year 2023, out of any money in the Treasury not otherwise appropriated, to the Corporation for National and Community Service, $100 million, to remain available until September 30, 2027. For carrying out the Volunteers in Service to America (VISTA) program for the purposes described in Section 101 of the Domestic Volunteer Service Act of 1973, 42 U.S.C. 4951, including to increase the living allowances of volunteers, described in Section 105(b) of such Act, 42 U.S.C. 4955, 4. State Commissions. In addition to amounts otherwise made available, there is appropriated for fiscal year 2023, out of any money in the Treasury not otherwise appropriated, to the Corporation for National and Community Service, $40 million, to remain available until September 30, 2027, to make adjustments to existing, as of the date of enactment of this Act, awards and new and additional awards, including awards to state commissions on national and community service, under Section 126(a) of the National and Community Service Act of 1990, 42 U.S.C. 12576(a). 5. Use of funds, amounts made available under paragraphs 1 through 4 shall be used by the Corporation for National and Community Service to carry out activities described in Section 122(a) 3(b) of the National and Community Service Act of 1990, 42 U.S.C. 12572(a), 3(b), and for activities related to environmental resiliency, remediation, or mitigation by a. ensuring at least 50% of such funds are awarded to entities that serve and have representation from low-income communities, tribal, Alaska Native, or Native Hawaiian communities, or communities experiencing, or at risk of experiencing, adverse health and environmental conditions. b. Taking into account the diversity of communities served by such entities and the diversity of AmeriCorps members serving in these projects, including racial, ethnic, socioeconomic, linguistic, or geographic diversity, and utilizing culturally competent and multilingual strategies in the provision of services to communities and in the recruitment of members. c. Supporting projects that are planned and implemented with the community served by such activities. d. Providing participants with workforce development opportunities such as pre-apprenticeship programs that articulate to registered apprenticeships, and pathways to post-service employment in high-quality jobs or registered apprenticeships. And e. Coordinating with and providing resources to the Departments of Labor and Education to improve the readiness of participants to transition to high-quality jobs or further education. b. Administrative costs. 1. In general, in addition to amounts otherwise made available, there is appropriated for fiscal year 2022, out of any money in the Treasury not otherwise appropriated, to the Corporation for National and Community Service, $199,650,000, to remain available until September 30, 2027, which shall be used for administrative expenses as provided under Section 501(a)(5) of the National and Community Service Act of 1990, 42 U.S.C. 12681(a)(5), and under Section 504(a) of the Domestic Volunteer Service Act of 1973, 42 U.S.C. (5084)(a), including an evaluation of the corporation's information technology security, corrective actions to address recommendations arising from audits of the agency and the National Service Trust, and, in consultation with the Inspector General, the development of grant fraud prevention and detection controls and risk-based anti-fraud grant monitoring. Not less than 5% of funds under this paragraph shall be reserved for